Hello, namaste, good morning. My name is Professor Bheel. I am Research Associate at SARM, South Asia Research Institute for Minority. Today we have very well known and young leader and activist, Advocate Aasha ji from Nepal. She is advocate, LLM students at Nepal Law Campus and recently engaged with dignity initiatives which focus on human rights issues, policy observation, research and minority issues. And today our podcast topic is minority rights, women dignity and access to justice in Nepal. So thank you very much, Advocate Asha ji, for your time and your efforts.
Thank you so much, Purkho, and thank you to the all of the CERN team for inviting me here as a guest in your podcast. So I'm really looking forward to proceed this conversation.
Thank you. So now I am moving to the questions. My first question is, could you please briefly introduce yourself and your work as human rights activist and lawyer in Nepal?
Okay, since you already mentioned, it's me, Aasha Uparkoti. I'm an advocate by professions, and yes, I work in the field of the constitutional law, governance, public policy, and human rights as well. My academic research and professional works focus particularly on the inclusions, constitutional implementations, and strengthening the access to justice, especially for the historically marginalized communities. So since I'm representing here from the Dalit community, I understand that the justice is not merely only the legal definitions, but it is highly connected with the dignity, equality, and the social exclusions, recognitions, and opportunity that exist in the social dividend, or we can say also as a structural dividend as well. My journey as both a lawyer and member from a historically marginalized community has strengthened my belief that the law must become an instrument for the social transformations rather than the simple collections or the piles of the ledgers or the legal provisions. So, today on the occasion of the pre-celebration of the International Justice Day, I hope to share Nepal's constitutional journey, our strengthening provisions, our achievements, and our remaining challenges that we still have to do, and why justice must be understood as something that belongs equal to the every human beings beyond across the border. So that's all.
Thank you for your briefing. My next question is, what does justice mean for minority and marginalized communities?
Okay, for me, justice is not a thing, or justice is not a concept, or it is just often understood as justice means as a punishment for the wrongdoer. But for me, from the human rights perspective, being a lawyer, justice is much more broader than just a thing about the punishment for the wrongdoing. So, justice means, especially for me, it is the equality before the law, protections for the law, human dignity. It relates and it extends within the freedom from the discriminations, equal opportunity, and participations in decision making, and effective remedies when the rights are violated. So, justice is meaningful only when the poorest and the weakest and the each and every individual of the society, or the most marginalized persons or individual, can enjoy it equally. So, I think justice is available only to those with power and privilege. It's not can be limited as it says a justice, but justice is, I think, it is much more than the court decisions, much more than the provisions that exist in our laws for marginalized community. As I already mentioned, justice means the dignity, equality, recognitions, meaningful participations in the society. So it means being able to access educations, healthcare work, employment, public services, and the legal remedies without the without the discriminations. And true justice exists when people are treated equally, regardless of their identity, their caste, their ethnicity, their gender, their labor, their religion, disability, their sexual orientation, their sexual appearance, and economic status, or the geographical location. So, justice is achieved only when the constitutional right or all the existing law that when it will be equally applicable to the each persons and become lived realities rather than the merely legal provisions.
Thank you for briefing us about that. My next question is, what are the main challenges faced by minority communities in accessing justice in Nepal, especially for minority communities?
Okay, since we have very remarkable positions in the minorities' rights and human rights, I think I will go that first way content in context of Nepal. So before that, as you ask, minority rights. Are not understood, or it cannot be understood as just giving a special privilege, but it is also about the correcting the historical exclusion that exists in the structural dividend of any nations or any country. So equality doesn't always mean the treating every individual identically, but sometimes fairness requires as affirmative measures or affirmative actions as well, so that the disadvantaged community or the people from the historically marginalized community can equally enjoy the opportunities that prevails in the nations. So yeah, Nepal's constitution recognizes that there's the inclusive representations and the positive discriminations that reflects the idea of the substantive equality rather than the merely formal equality as well. But since although we have a progressive constitutional provisions, implementations, but still remains our the greatest challenges to implement it. Generally, we can talk about the social discriminations, geographical challenges, geographical issues, at the same time, linguistic awareness, economic barriers, geographical barriers, institutional barriers, and so on. So deep-rooted caste discrimination still exists despite of the legal provisions, and as you can simply say, there are the huge numbers of the people who do not have the access to the justice. So many people do not know what are the rights that prevails in the constitutional rights. So simply they don't know what their rights are, and as you can see, legal proceedings are very expensive in Nepal as well. So poor community people or the people, every individual cannot afford the lawyers, and then another reason is people living in the remote areas, since we have the three different kinds of the geographical extension of our regions. So people living in the mountainous regions face enormous difficulties among courts and government office as well. And we can say in as institutional barriers, this can be delayed due to the lengthy procedures and a limited institutional capacity. But at the same time, we have problems in the gender and intersectionality approach of the government as well. So the Dalit women often experience multiple forms of the discrimination that based on the caste, gender, and the economic issue that prevails in the society. So as I simply mentioned that the Nepal has progressive institutional provision, but the implementation remains our one of the most challenges to implement it, and many marginalized people are still facing the discrimination, social exclusion, economic hardship, and the limited legal awareness about the legal education. So access to legal aid is often inadequate, but particularly in the legal areas and the remote areas. But since I already mentioned, language barriers, lengthy judicial procedures, and institutional biases further discourage people from seeking in the justice. So yeah, lastly, in some cases, fear of the retaliations and social stigma also prevents the justice or the victims from reporting the human rights violations, and strengthening the implementation mechanism is just as important as strengthening themselves as just a piles of the provisions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A very detailed information. Thank you. My next question is already related with you because you are also engaged in research and minority issues, policy regulations. So, how important are legal awareness, policy research, and documentation is protecting minority rights?
And so I think the question you have just asked is a very fundamental question, because legal awareness empowers people to recognize what the rights they have provided and seek remedies when those rights are get violated. And policy research helps the systematic gaps and provides evidence-based recommendations for reform. Documentation preserves the evidence of the discriminations, exclusions, and human rights violations, making it possible to advocate for the accountability and the policy change. And as we all know, without the reliable and evidence-based policy, evidence-based evidence, and the informed citizens, even the strongest constitutional guarantee can remain ineffective. So sustainable human rights protection requires the informed communities, evidence-based policy making, and accountable institution. So I think it's very fundamental. That's all.
Thank you. My last and last question. On International Justice Day, what message would you like to give to the government, civil society, and minority communities?
Okay, yeah. International Justice Day reminds us that the justice is the sheer responsibility beyond the cross border. To the governments, I would say prioritize the implementation of the constitutional rights, strengthen the institutions that you have, and ensure the equal access to the justice for the every citizens. And since I'm working with the civil society as well, to the civil society, continue advocating, fight for it, documenting and holding the institution accountable while amplifying the voices of the marginalized communities. And to the marginalized community, please try to know your rights, raise your voices, and participate actively in the democratic process. Justice is strongest when people claim their rights and institutions fulfill their responsibilities. So, yeah, together we can build where Nepal is equality, inclusions, and dignity, human dignity, are realities for the everyone, not the privileges for just a few one. And yes, since I am representing from the South Asian country, and since I'm talking with you from the Pakistan, so across the South Asia, I just want to add many countries continue to struggle with discriminations, inequality, and access to justice. So although our legal system differs, our serious challenges remains the same. So we are facing the same question. So how do we ensure the constitutional right to the each ordinary person equally? So I mentioned justice should never depend on the caste, ethnicity, religion, gender, wealth, geography, and the language. I think human dignity must remain universal. So yeah, that's
Thank you.
all.
Thank you very much, Shaji.
Mhm.
So I hope in future we are always connected. And once again, thank you for your time, insightful thoughts, and briefing us. So thank you very much for your
I
time.
just want to add a little bit message. So yeah, on this International Justice Day, I'd like to congratulate you and all the Pakistani people since it's a pre-celebrations. I believe that we should remember that constitutions are not judges by the beauty of their words, but it should be measured by how much it's implementing or by their implementation. So yeah, the true measure of the justice is whether the most marginalized persons or the historically marginalized deprived persons will protected, respected, and heard. So yeah, as a lawyer from the Nepal and as someone from the Dalit community, I believe that the justice is not a charity and inclusion is not a favor, but they are the constitutional guarantees and the universal human rights. Our collective responsibility is to ensure that the no individual is denied dignity because of their identity. So yeah, let's work toward the society where the equality is not merely a constitutional promise, but a lived reality where every person, regardless of the caste, ethnicity, religion, gender, disability, or the social background, or we can simply, is an every individual across the world can access justice with confidence and without fear. And yes, thank you so much for having me here, and I'm really looking forward to work and have meaningful conversation with you and the team, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dhanyavad.
Thank you. Dhanyawad. Assalamu alaikum.